Skara outside Gothenburg, where he's been spending a month recording the album.
You sound like Jim when you talk like that.
We are rolling.
Oh, you should hear, Glenn speaks Swedish now.
Does he?
Oh, he knows so many words. And in the middle of a conversation, he can just say a very strange sentence that doesn't make sense, but it's so much fun. This is the first time he spent so much time in... He's been in Sweden since May.
Really?
Yeah, with just one break.
Really? Amazing.
He's very impressed with the talent of Swedish musicians.
I am too. Oh, Sweden seems to have that majestic, regal presence. Very good musicians.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to Metall, Magazinet, Ritchie Blackmore. Show you haven't been on before, but you will be featured on this one, because this is a Deep Purple special we're doing here today, which is pretty good. Mark II is back together once again.
Yes, Mark II. 15th time.
After a brief separation from me and Gillan this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 25th anniversary of the band also. Was that the main reason why this reunion happened?
I think the main reason was money. Ian needed some money, so he called us up and said, okay, let's do it. No, I mean, it's, after 25 years, I think the band is, we get back together every now and again, as you know, probably every 5 years, and do our thing. But go on.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily true, because he left the band voluntarily once, and he was fired once, and that's about it.
Well, who said he was fired?
Well, he actually said he was fired.
Did he?
Yeah.
I think he fired himself.
Well, that's in the eye of the beholder, isn't that true?
That's true, yeah.
What really happened? I mean, let's get down to... I have his version, so let's have yours.
Well, let's hear his version.
Well, I can play you the tape later on.
No, I'm sure it's... what happened there was... Ian and I were very kind of strong-minded people. So I think we were like clashing a little bit at this point. A lot of drinking going down, a lot of... really, there wasn't too much music being played. So I said to the rest of the band, what's Ian doing other than drinking and getting crazy? Well, that's really what he's doing, so I turned around and said, I'd really rather not carry on this arrangement. Let's get somebody else in that's going to sing something properly. And so they went along with it, and that's all. Mm. And Ian seemed to fire himself and go his own merry way. I think maybe he was being very antagonistic at the time because he wanted to be fired. He didn't want to say, I'm leaving. Ian, being a very strong character, just wants to go his own way when he wants to. And he and I, very rarely, we don't talk very often. So
fair enough.
It's always usually through the rest of the band that things are done. I'll come up with an arrangement and I'll say, well, give it to the singer, whoever he may be at the time. You know?
So who's the diplomat in the band?
Roger, actually.
Right.
John is, if it's good news, but if it's bad news, it's Roger. He's a very stout yeoman, as they say.
Very right. But at this time, there must have been a frustration here, because the Mark II reunited in 1984 for the sake of being Mark II. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Mark III or it wasn't Mark IV. Tommy was dead, of course, so Mark IV couldn't reunite. Mm-hmm. But wasn't it hard then to face the fact to alter the lineup and bring in yet another vocalist?
Not for me. You know, quite honestly, music is all I care about. I don't care about politics and who's in the band, as long as the end result is good music. And I just wanted the best music that we could do at the time. A lot of people said, well, you can't do this because it's not Deep Purple. I said, well, it would be Deep Purple. It doesn't matter who's in the band. It's just an avenue of thought. It's where we're going. We want the best we can produce. I'm not in favor of having a band together for the sake of being safe. Well, we must have this guy singing. We must have this guy playing bass because that's what's accepted and that's what will sell. I prefer to take a chance and just play good music. Sometimes it gets me into trouble.
And it should. Yes. Trouble can also cause excitement.
That's right. And sometimes you must take a chance to get something new.
That's right. But have you not decided to smoke the peace pipe, bury the hatchet, let bygones be bygones?
No, we still have a hatchet. I'm going to, one of these days, when we're playing on the road, I'm going to attack Ian Gillan in the back alley. He's bigger than me, so he's probably a better fighter. So I'm going to do it with a few friends of mine, probably Swedish. And we'll beat him up, but he won't know it's me.
The turbulence within the Deep Purple camp is, of course, notorious, and I guess, in a way, that has added to the magic and excitement of the band. You never know what's going to happen next.
That's
really.
true.
Is this true, do you think? That this really is one of the things that makes Deep Purple Deep Purple?
That friction does cause something. I think friction, you can almost make an analogy to a marriage. Friction causes passion. Passion itself makes a good marriage, or it can be exciting. And that's how we are, I think. Mm. We're not the best of friends, but I think we make some good music through that passion, that hungry, that kind of madness. Just, let's get crazy, and we're not the best of friends.
Yeah. Ian said that you were like fire and water. How would you describe your relationship to him?
Fire and water. It depends. I wouldn't say it's fire and water. I would just say that any band that's been together for 25 years is going to get a little bit tired of each other. And it's very quiet in here, isn't it?
It is very quiet. But that's why we're talking.
But no, I feel that the band is not really, how can you say, je ne sais quoi, as they say in French, which means I don't know, or whatever.
I was just in Nice, and I remembered not knowing so much from my school French that I should have.
It's strange, the band being together 25 years. You're going to get that problem. Any marriage that can last 25 years is doing very well. So you have to break away now and again.
And now you're married to 4 other guys.
Yes. And we have the fear of AIDS setting in too.
Oh, just a thing like that.
We have to be careful.
Does the reunion, though, of the Mark II lineup confirm the fact that this is the valid Deep Purple lineup? Not
really. It will be this year, and maybe in 10 years' time we'll be coming back in our wheelchairs and going, here we are again, it's Mark 14. I don't care, I just like to play. I really don't know who's in the band. As long as they play well and the music's good. I don't think of it as, I suppose this particular lineup is obviously my favorite. It was the first lineup and the latter lineup. The latest, that 74 period, that was a strange lineup with Dave and Glenn. Still a good lineup, but not one of my favorites. Gillan, although he's not one of my favorite friends, he's a very good singer. He has his identity. And I like to play with him on stage. He's an animal. You never know what he's going to say next. And I like that. He's very off the cuff.
Sometimes he's better between the songs than in the songs.
I think so too. I love to hear what he's going to say. And once he said something that I couldn't even play the song. It was so funny. He said, this is called Perfect Street Rangers. And in Japan, they thought it was about a soccer team called Perfect Street Rangers. And I thought, how the hell did he get that? And that was funny. But it was the way he introduced the next song, which was, that was Perfect Street Rangers, and this isn't. And to me, I love that sophisticated sense of humor, that dryness.
Oh, that's Monty Python.
And I couldn't even play the next song. He was looking at me like, what's wrong with you? But I was just, that is so funny. because most rock and rollers would be saying, do you want to rock and roll? Get down. Do you want to boogie? Come on. I can't hear you. Ian will always play it down. You know, we're not going to rock and roll. You know, and if you want to, go somewhere else.
But this is a collection of 5 British guys, really, that are taking a piss out of, you know, the rock world, really. I mean, you're not taking this too seriously.
No, we do and we don't. It's something that we do take it seriously, but I suppose that we don't. Ian is, I refer to him most of the time as, he's our Oliver Reed of rock and roll. I refer to him as most times as Oliver Rude, because he's usually got his clothes off, insulting people. We don't take it too seriously, especially on stage. You can't take rock and roll too seriously.
But a lot of bands do these days. It's like...
I know. That bothers me. It's too... The music is too banal. It's too simple. Not that there's anything wrong with being simple, but there has to be... You have to do things with tongue-in-cheek. I think when Buddy Holly first came out and Chuck Berry, then you could be serious. But at this point, it's like 4 generations down. You keep seeing the same bands doing the same things. It's all watered-down versions of Rolling Stones. And that bothers me, that people take that seriously. All those clichés.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Regurgitating
yes,
what was there yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Returning here, I guess most people felt that the lineup with Joe Lynn Turner was somewhat of a disappointment. And I guess
certainly was in Sweden, because it was the worst concert I've ever done, actually. But I felt that actually LP was very good, the Slaves and Masters. Yeah. I liked it.
I was going to say that there were moments on Slaves and Masters that was fantastic, but it maybe didn't even get that chance because you were cursed with having to stay with the Mark II lineup. Is that so?
Not really.
People didn't take Deep Purple seriously without Ian Gillan.
I think some people did. My father did.
One record down there?
Right.
No, he gets a free one.
Yeah. I think it was very valid at the time, what we did. Slaves and Masters thing, it was one of my favorite LPs. And I think it got through to a lot of people in America especially. Not so much in Europe. Although I must say that when we played Stockholm the last time with Joe, that was really awful. Yeah. That's the worst show I've done for a long time.
Yeah, I
can't apologize for that.
Well, let's hope
so
it's better upon your return.
I wanted to leave that night. I said to my manager, that's it. I couldn't blame it on really Joe. It was just everything. The hall, I don't know where we were playing.
The Globe.
Christ, it was awful.
You are now returning to the Ice Stadium.
I know. I would never play the other place. But I was surprised that the audience stayed. That's why we had to make up for it the next night. We played Gothenburg. I think we did a very good show.
I saw both of them, yeah.
But Stockholm was horrendous. I just lost it. There's nothing. There's nothing there.
Right.
And Stockholm was one of my favorite places to play. Always a great audience, and we always tried to kind of push ourselves for the moment. But that night, it all fell flat.
Yeah. Oh, you have many friends in Sweden. Sweden is a stronghold for Deep Purple fans.
And I went back to the hotel and I got my manager. I said, I don't know if I want to stay in the band. After tonight, it's all over. So we stayed up for hours. I was sulking about the whole thing. The next night we played Gothenburg, and I felt that we played a lot better and we delivered something. But Stockholm last time I felt like giving money back to the audience, saying it was awful.
There you go.
It happens now and again.
Exactly. You started to record this album, The Battle Rages On, with Joe, didn't you?
I think we started it with Glenn Hughes. It felt that way. It's been so long. It's been probably, 3 years we've been doing it. But the ideas come very slowly. We're not too prolific. And I usually start the ideas rolling. So I'd rather go and play soccer or get drunk or something. Or just think about music rather than be in the studio contemplating the fact that I must deliver something.
Is it always like this for you?
Mm-hmm.
You find it hard to force yourself into a working situation?
Yeah, I do. I don't like being in a studio particularly. Studios to me are like being in the dentist chair. I love to play music, but not in a studio. It becomes very formal.
But you can take a guitar and sit down on your
Of course,
couch and...
Of course. I love the guitar. I love the shape of the guitar. But I don't like being in the studio with the red light and being told that we must come out with another LP. That kind of bothers me. I feel that music should not be churned out in a factory sense.
If it doesn't come, you can't force yourself to write.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be there. You know,
yeah,
someone has to...
Roger is very good at capturing. He knows how I work. He knows I'm liable to do 3 takes. This is personally speaking. And then when the light goes off, he'll notice that I'm playing something that is really nice to hear and should go down on tape. So he's now into that knack of saying to the engineer quickly, you know, if I do this, that means put the tape on. Ritchie is just playing instead of seeing and getting into that square recording mode. Mm-hmm. And that works sometimes. We've done a few songs which I've just fiddled around on, and it's come out really well. But I get very bored. I get bored very quickly in the studio.
Do you feel that you are responsible to come up with all the songs for an album?
Not responsible, but I do.
Yeah, but does it feel like a burden to know that I got to come up with these 10 songs now, otherwise we don't have a record?
I see ya. Yes and no. I like that responsibility. I like the fact that I can take control. But it would be nice to hear some good ideas from the others. But it usually doesn't come along.
Right. But this album, I understand now, was a hard process for you. Possibly the hardest ever?
Not really. I always leave after I've recorded. Leave it to Roger to do the tedium. He's very good at putting things together, editing and so forth.
But the songs were written for Joe to sing on?
They were, actually, most of them. See, I tend to write in the studio on the spur of the moment because an idea to me is just something that comes to you. It's enthusiasm, that's all. And in the beginning I used to think, well, an idea must consist of this and this and this, but it doesn't. It's just a groove. It's something that you feel good about. That's an idea. But there were days, 15, 20 years ago, when I used to feel that it had to be a perfect riff and a perfect middle eight. It must have a hook. But really, songwriting is not like that. It's just a feeling, getting a feeling across to other people.
Yes. When did you realize that Joe wasn't right for this anymore?
Well, he started to, his voice started cracking and he wasn't coming up with the ideas. And I like Joe. Joe to me is very similar to Glenn Hughes. He's a very funny character and very full of life. But his identity was fading. He didn't have too much. He always wanted to copy other bands. And Deep Purple doesn't copy other bands. We don't even listen to other bands. And he was always coming to the session saying, well, Motley Crue does this. And we're going, who? What are you talking about? He's caught up in the now. And I think he referred to John Lord, actually. It was a very interesting quote. He said, you're yesterday and I am tomorrow.
Is that bad?
Yeah. So now whenever I see John, I say, hello, Mr. Yesterday. How are you yesterday?
Well, that's almost reason enough to realize that this guy has maybe the foot in the wrong band.
Right. But he does have a lot of talent.
But I understand he was kindly asked to leave rather than just fired.
We just said he's fired. We do it all the time.
Yeah. What was your first thought then? Was it, let's call Ian?
No. the rest of the band wanted Ian in. And I said, okay, I'll go along with it, see what happens. I don't know how Ian is singing or how he's behaving.
You had not heard the records he did?
No. Well, I heard, no, I didn't, no, I haven't heard those records. I heard them later. I wasn't particularly impressed, but at the same time, Ian has the identity. He's like glue. He does put things together. And so I went along with the rest of the band. I said, yeah, of course, let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not my idea. I wanted to bring somebody else in, but I was voted out.
Did you have a specific person in mind?
Yes. But the other three said, no, let's get Ian back. I said, yeah.
All right. How was the first meeting with Ian? I mean, there have been some slagging in the press. Ian himself wasn't really kind, I can't say. I don't know if it was one of his English humor things, but he said things and then that I realized probably would cut the connection between you and him forever.
No, not at all. Ian and I have a love-hate relationship. He's always saying to me, you're my hero. You know? And I blame myself for Ian being the way he is today, because we were in a club in 1971, and I just, by accident, knocked him off his chair. He fell backwards and hit his head. He really did. And he changed from then onwards. He became very aggressive. If you know Ian, like I know Ian, he's a very different person. And I'm convinced it was this blow to the head that he had. And it was in the rock and roll circuits in France. Because I knocked him back off the chair, and he fell about 10 feet onto the floor and hit his head. And Ian's a very strong person. And he was hurt. I'm like, God, what did I do? After that, he changed. He became very sullen, very intense, and that wasn't Ian. But he is, if nobody sings like he does. He's a very different singer, whether you like it or not. Two different things. Sometimes he's not my type of singer. I prefer a Paul Rodgers approach, blues. But a lot of people like him, and he blends with the band, and I think he's done a very good job in this new LP. Especially.
So the ideal thing would to have different singers with different tracks, really.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. And probably different guitar players.
As well, yeah. Yeah. The Battle Rages On is recorded under somewhat strange circumstances, knowing that the whole band was never present at the same time, since the actual backing tracks was recorded before Ian re-entered the project.
You're right. That's right.
Yeah? Does this strike you as strange now when you listen to it, going like...
We've always recorded in a strange way, like we always play in haunted castles or in garages somewhere. It's all very strange. We never really go into a studio with an idea.
Wasn't that one of the things that Ian stressed that he wanted you to do?
Yeah, I heard that. He wanted to record in New York, and I hate New York, Manhattan. I loathe the place. Although I live here, which is 40 miles away, but it's like 400 years away. It's a different concept. I'm not one for being mugged every day I go to park my car to go to the studio.
No one can live without that.
That's right. And, no, the band is just, kind of, when we play, we just play whatever we feel at the time. We don't work anything out. As far as, like, as you said, not being in the same place at the same time, that is what gives us a different angle on life. I prefer it that way. I prefer to be slightly estranged from what I'm doing. I can see it more better perspective. It's like looking at a painting. Roger likes to be very close to what he's doing. I like to have distance, to come in now and again, hear something and go, that's good, that's bad. I'm off now to go for a walk. I can't just be there in a studio listening to music 24 hours a day.
Has your sense of direction for Deep Purple changed over the years?
No. I've never had any direction in my life or what I'm doing. I don't think anybody has any direction. If they do, it's not apparent to them.
It is the effect of the time you're in.
Yeah, you know, that's when people say, do you have a direction? Who has a direction? Nobody has a direction. You know? That's like a cliche. You know?
Right.
And I have no direction. I don't believe the band has direction. Things just happen. If you go out for dinner, you don't have a direction of, well, I'm going to the restaurant and this will happen and that will happen. You don't know.
No. Are you at all affected by the new trends in hard rock, like grunge or speed or thrash metal?
No. We listen to it. And a lot of us laugh about it. I don't like much what's coming out today, but there again, I never did in the old days. But although in the old days you did have a little bit more identity as far as bands went. You had Procol Harum and Jethro Tull, people that... Today it's just, there's always something new every 2 months.
I can't bloody stand it,
yeah.
The new stuff.
I know, it's awful.
Yeah, it's really awful.
But there again, it's almost like, it had to go through this, didn't it? Because what did we have before this? Before we had the grunge, we had disco or whatever. It has to go that full circle. And I don't blame the kids for going, I want something that's really awful. It sounds awful. And then, so that their parents, it's always that rebelling against the parents, isn't it? I heard a band yesterday, I can't remember who they were called, what they were called. And it was so interesting because they're all girls, except for the drummer. Maybe you know who they are.
Four Non-Blondes.
I don't know who they are. Maybe that's who they were. I don't know.
Song is What's Up?
I don't think that was it.
Well, the chorus goes, What's Going On?
Is there just a guy drummer and the rest of them are women?
Yeah, I think it's a guy it's a guy guitar player and the rest are girls.
No.
If it's the same
Okay,
band.
this is not a band.
Okay.
This was incredible. I knew it would come to this. The bass player had obviously been playing about a week, but she looked good in her little outfit. She's playing with a thumb and going dun 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 like this. And the guitar player, another female, who was in her little outfit, was just going ching ching ching, ching, and she was playing the solo and not moving a hand. The whole thing was just hitting this form. She'd obviously been playing a week on it. And the singer was singing this dissonant phrasing over the top. And it was amazing. Like, this, we have truly come to the end. So let's get back to some good stuff after this, please. You know? But I really felt that it was a plea for understanding the bliss. Start again. Hopefully this will be the... Because I couldn't imagine it getting any worse than this lot. It was so funny, because the guitar player is playing the same shape, the bass player is in a different key, but playing with a thumb. They all looked proper, and they looked right for MTV or whatever.
They had the image right, but they forgot how to play.
Yeah, and the drummer was the only one that had some sort of semblance of construction. He was actually playing something, and he was quite good. But there was this cacophony of nonsense over the top. And I thought it was intriguing. It's like, it cannot get worse.
That's it. It hit rock bottom now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was great in its own way. I was quite, maybe I'll go out and buy the album when I find out who they were. But it was so awful, it was pleasing. Maybe it had that Bob Dylan effect that he had back in '62 when people said, this guy can't sing. But now I'm one of his biggest fans.
Mm. I spoke to Robert Halford recently, and he left one of the classic hard rock bands from Britain ever, Judas Priest, and now moved on to a speed metal, thrashy kind of band called Fight. And I asked him if he thought that classic hard rock as we know it was dead and didn't belong in this day and age, and he really thought so. He thought that the last nail had been hit in the classic rock coffin.
No, I think it'll all come back again. It'll just take time. Give it a year, 6 months. It always comes back.
I certainly hope so myself.
Yeah, I think so.
For the first time since the reunion in 1980,
We should make a tape change.
Yeah, tape change. Oh, it's going good. From hospital, and the day she was going to be dismissed, she just fell over. This tiny piece of bone was clogging her artery in her heart.
Really?
She just died.
That's amazing.
And a couple of weeks later, after this, strange, she was there. I know she was. I didn't dare to look, but I know she was standing next to me. It's very strange.
Same time, right?
Yeah. For the first time since the reunion of Deep Purple's Mark II in 1984, you have decided to use an outside producer for the project, Tom Anusio. What gave him the honors?
We felt that Roger was a little bit too close to the band, being in the band, so we needed that outside influence. I was in a club somewhere, Florida, and I heard this track by Joan Jett, and it had a very big sound to it, and it was done by Peninsula. So that's how we got hold of him. And, it's very innocent in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I just wanted somebody. I didn't know much about producing, but I just heard this track in this club was so loud to me that I thought that was. And Joan Jett's very uncomplicated type of rock and roll. And I thought, then maybe we should use him.
I think it has given Deep Purple a distinctly different sound.
It is different, yeah. I think it's, as they say, more today. Although I'm very wary about what they say is today. It's much more, it has a lot more clarity. The drums are sampled, you know. So, yeah, I like the sound. It's quite good.
It's very hard-edged. The first time I heard it, I go, wow, this is hard.
Right.
Very, it has a grit and attack to it, and the sound and the action. It's almost hostile at times.
Yes.
The way it's presented. But also, it's the most uninhibited I've heard Deep Purple for a long time.
True, although we're always reaching for that. We can never quite, we sound best when we're live, just jamming, doing the tapes before we actually record. We can never quite attain that kind of sound that we really want. To me, I'm always a little bit brought down when I hear the finished version, because it's not what I hear when I first hear what we can do. And that's been a problem for a long time.
Yeah.
Peninsula, he's a very nice guy, and he's got this, he has a way of open miking things to give a rich sound. And Woodstock was an interesting studio, being a very long, big studio, so we had that a lot of acoustic kind of resonance, which came across. Although it started phasing itself on the cymbals, which gave us a problem on the mix. Although I wasn't there, but I heard it. I did. Yeah.
So you don't want to supervise the whole thing?
No. One day when I hear the perfect music, I'll supervise it. To me, I'm kind of, it's, music to me is, once I've played it, I want to leave it and go somewhere else. You know. Music is not something I want to, you make a musical statement, you don't want to be around it all the time. You make it and you say, well, I'll think differently in half an hour. And I'm constantly reminded of what I personally play once you go into a recording studio. And I'm personally not impressed with what I do in the studio. It means nothing to me.
In retrospect, you never go back and...
No, I never play my records. I don't have a collection of my own records. My music, one day I will capture what I feel that I want to put forth. Maybe when I'm dead and I come back as a spirit or something. But I'm not particularly happy with what I put down on record. Very rarely. There are a few exceptions.
You're not making things easy for you, are you?
No.
I mean...
I wasn't put here to make things easy.
The album has been out now for a couple of months, in Europe at least, and there's no video yet. I haven't seen a group shot of the band.
That's right.
You're sort of removing all the tools for marketing here.
Well, there's a little bit of common sense involved. I said to Bruce, the manager, I said, are we going to do a video? Which I hate doing anyway because I'm a musician, not an actor. And I find it very, very straining to do those things. It's all right for Madonna or somebody of Rod Stewart being into that. But he said, well, this time we won't be doing a video. And I said, great. And I said, well, why aren't we doing a video anyway? This is a matter of interest. He said, well, nobody will play it anyway. Okay, good, fair enough. Because I think the MTVs and VH1 or whatever, they have their set bands. And I think we're considered a little bit too aging to be involved in that, so, which suits me.
Well, I would have played it.
I know you would have.
I need one.
Well, we'll make one for you.
Right. Deep Purple has existed for 25 years, and you have touched upon 4 decades, the 60s, 70s, 80s, and now even the 90s, which is pretty amazing. If you think back, this is...
It is amazing how we've conned the public that long.
I was just a baby when you started out. How do you look back at those different eras? We're going to do a little retrospective here. First, the very early years. What comes to mind when you think about the very dawn of Deep Purple?
The dawn of Deep Purple? What do I think about it?
Yeah, what comes to mind, the first initial thing when you think about how the whole thing started?
In '68, well, I first came across in '68 in a snowstorm. I was living in Hamburg, Germany. And I met John Lord. And we put down a few things, and I wanted to be in a band, and because that was a tough thing I was interested in at the time. But looking back, it's no different then than it is now. I feel that I've been very lucky in what I've done and where I am now, but I'm still very unfulfilled with what I've done. I feel that I haven't really said anything yet. I will one day say something, which I'm sure will go astray. Right. But I really don't look back. In the 25 years, I think it's all gone very quickly. And I just think I've been very lucky. I don't think we've made history in music or done anything that's earth-shattering. I think it's just, we were a band, put together, thrown together, and we produced the music we did. Yeah. Nothing special.
Yeah. As of 1969, things changed with the band because Deep Purple was really a very 60s sounding, almost poppy type of band in the very early days. But as of 1969, and of course with the addition of Ian Gillan and Roger, the band changed totally. You spearheaded hard rock. The sound changed, it became very hard-edged.
Well, we were just really copying Vanilla Fudge. Do you know that band?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We were copying, we loved Vanilla Fudge, Hendrix, Bit of Cream, Yardbirds. We were just throwing the whole thing into a... That's when I met John. I really loved his playing because he sounded like the guy in Vanilla Fudge, which is from Long Island. That's why I'm here in Long Island. I'm still trying to track down Vanilla Fudge. And it just presented itself. You know.
1970 to 1973, Deep Purple really became the legend that still lives on.
Right.
Those 3 years are very, very important in your history.
In history, yes. I think we were just very lucky.
Were you at the right time in the right place?
I think so, yeah. We made some good songs, I must admit. You know, Child in Time, some of that stuff was outstanding, very different.
But was it anything else? Was it because you had an approach like nobody else? You actually moved around on stage. Very few bands did that.
We were kind of bungling our way through everything. We didn't really know what we were doing, and that was, I think, the story of success is to not know where you're going, but to pretend that you do. So that's where we were going.
Short of Pete Townsend, you were really abusing your guitar like no one else.
Right. That was out of frustration, although Pete Townsend did do that before me. But I know the guitar player he got it from before him. So I feel kind of somewhat validated about that. People say, well, you only broke the guitar because Pete Townsend did. I go, no, well, he actually copied a guy who's now a taxi driver called Pete Phillips, who was in a band called Creation in 1964, who used to play with a violin bow and break his guitar up and use feedback. So he did it before anybody.
He invented the whole thing?
He invented the whole thing. And that's Pete Phillips from The Creation, who's now a taxi driver in London.
Wow, he should get some credit there.
He should, but when you think about it, you know, everybody thought Pagey was the first with that violin bow. It was done 4 years before that.
Oh, wow.
Like 10 years.
The sound of Deep Purple changed drastically, of course, with the arrival of David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes in 1973 and with Byrne and Stormbringer. You weren't really pleased with the direction the band took at that point.
On the first one I was. What was the first one?
Byrne.
Byrne. Byrne was excellent. I liked that very much. This song Byrne and Mistreated was where I wanted to go.
Lay Down, Stay Down.
It was all good stuff. Stormbringer I didn't like at all. When we started getting into the pseudo-bluesy, upbeat stuff. In fact, I played one track just with my thumb. It was a Glenn track.
Holy Man?
That's it. No. It was a shuffle. I didn't like it at all. But I said I would play it. And I did play it, but I only played it with my thumb. That was my way of rebelling against, I don't like this tune. Hold On.
Hold On,
okay?
Yeah.
If you listen, it's playing with thumb.
I dig that song.
Yeah, I hated it. But I played it because the rest of them wanted to do it. They would often do things that I wanted to do that they didn't like. But it was an interesting time. Byrne was a great LP.
Exactly. But you decided to leave the band.
Right.
Quit.
Yeah. I felt that the band was getting very lazy and very preoccupied with themselves, and I felt that I could form another band because I personally felt I was doing too much as one person. I felt I could do that with another band that didn't have the egos. There was a lot of egos at that time. A lot of people...
That was the big aeroplane type of thing.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody was taking a suite and taking private planes, which I liked, but in the studio, it was usually, quite honestly, down to me. Well, what have you got? Does anybody else have something? David would occasionally come up with Soldier of Fortune. He came up with, that was a good track. But there wasn't that input I wanted to hear.
Right.
And I felt I could just go with 4 other members and, and just do the same thing.
Was it a hard decision? Would you rather have seen Deep Purple move in a direction you wanted them to?
How do you mean?
Would you rather have seen that Glenn and David basically just did what they were told?
No, not. I wanted more from... David would quite often sit down, play the piano, and do some stuff. That was good. I liked his voice at the time. It's very good. Glenn was into more of a bluesy thing. Not bluesy, but...
funky and black.
Funky, yeah. They started getting very funky and black, and I was like, that's not for me. I really hate that type of music. Cool, kind of... This has got to be rock and roll. Or it has to be majestic, medieval music, but not... I'm sorry, but I don't like particular most black music. I'm sure that will cause a stir, but I don't care anyway.
No, that's your prerogative.
And that bothered me. why be impressed by Stevie Wonder? I didn't see it. So I left. I wanted to be European rock, majestic music that Europeans know, especially Swedish people. You have your ABBAs and that's and I can relate to the Germans. I cannot relate to American. I don't like American musicians particularly. Although I live here, I'm not impressed with that black music syndrome. It means nothing to me. It's too cool. It's too shallow. You know? They say it's soul. I call it anything but soul.
Rainbow, of course, went on to become one of Europe's biggest bands at the time, and you went through a very wide variety of styles with Rainbow. Moved from the hard and furious and fast to soft and brittle, and at the end, very commercial.
I was very impressed with ABBA at the time. I always wanted to write something around the way they could write. And I think things like, we had a hit with something in F sharp, is all I can remember. What was a big hit? I can't remember. But I was a big fan of ABBA, and I wanted to play that melodic, majestic, regal pop. You know?
But with the rock edge.
That's right. I'd been through that so-called bluesy rock and roll, but it just lacked depth. I wanted to get more into pop and appealing to people. Jimi Hendrix once said, "It's no good unless you're on the local jukebox." And it's true.
Yeah.
You can be you can say so many things in music, but if you're not on the jukebox, you're not going anywhere. You have to relate to people. And if they can't relate to you, you've missed out on something. So I was trying to, that was a challenge. I must get across to I want the postman to whistle this on his bicycle. That was a challenge, and it still is. I love little pop melodies.
That's what's entered, you know, the common people's mind.
Right.
Those who aren't maybe connoisseurs, but like music, and they get off on it.
Yeah, that to me is, I love the Shadows, Cliff Ritchie and the Shadows, way back in the 50s. I don't know if you know them.
Oh, yeah.
They played all the very simple melodies, but it was straight to the heart. There was something so pure and innocent, but appealing and simple. And life should be simple. And as a musician, or a so-called musician, I don't want to get into that. Well, I don't play that because it's beneath me. I will play that if it's simple. I'd love to play.
Although you at times, like this for instance, are very outspoken and frank, there is an aura of mysticism surrounding the persona of Ritchie Blackmore.
Right.
Is this something that you consciously want to keep alive, or is it just...
No, it's something that is always there because I don't quite understand who I am or what I'm doing. I'm involved in mystical things, yes. I'm aware of, like for 20 years I've studied paranormal and not black magic. I'm talking about seances and communication with the spiritual realm. I'm very interested in that. But I don't go around trying to... I wear a lot of black clothing, maybe. And I'm a very quiet person. And it's those thoughts. I just want to be... I believe in thinking rather than speaking. I'm not too keen on people that voice their opinion very loudly. They bother me. So maybe this mysticism thing comes from, well, he's very strange. Only because I keep to myself. I like to just observe.
Yeah, privacy is quite sacred to you.
Oh, definitely. I love my privacy.
Because it's very rarely that we see you going out to parties and hanging out with the glamorous crowd. And never really.
Very true. I think I don't know if I have too much to say, and if I do have too much to say, or whatever I have to say, I don't know if I should be saying it. I don't know if people should be listening to it. I don't know quite where I'm going, so why should I be very verbose in shouting it to people. My life is going in such a way that I'm not too sure where I'm going, so I don't really want to influence anybody on the way there. I feel most definitely that I'm in tune with the pulse, but that pulse is very elusive, and I can't take anybody with me. I have to go alone, and I can't talk about it. So I find myself in a quandary talking to people when they say, "How do you feel about so-and-so?" I go, "I don't quite know, because I have too many opinions on the overall perception. Where is the horizon? Where is the day? Where is the night? Where is anything?" I'm completely confused, or maybe I'm not confused. I see it all, but it's very difficult to explain. But it's...
Do you care at all about people's perception of you?
No, I do and I don't. I care in a kind of sense that I don't want to hurt people. I don't want them to get the wrong impression. But if they're very abrupt, and if they come to this conclusion about me as a person, my character, because I don't do the everyday things that I should do and that what's expected of me, then that's their problem. I withdraw. I'm withdrawn because I find myself in a different avenue of thought to most people.
What's Ritchie Blackmore like on a very ordinary day at home?
Very simple. I love to exercise. I love to kick a ball around. I love to play soccer and do simple things. I try and I have the average day would be waking up with my cats. I love animals. And tuning into Europe, trying to find any soccer games that are on my satellite. I have this ridiculous satellite set up that I can pick up games in Romania if I want to. I love to be out of myself. Maybe I'm trying to, if I were to watch television, I don't want to be, I'm in America, I live here. I came here initially because of tax reasons. But I'm always trying forever to escape from this place, to be somewhere. My ultimate goal would be to be in a cobbled street, is a silhouetted figure running down near a German castle and listening to medieval music, which is totally incongruous to my way of life here. It's coffee shops and people shouting at each other and baseball. I don't relate to any of that.
You're a voluntary
listener. Yeah, maybe I need to. It's almost a form of punishment to myself that I'm here. I love to complain. So I'm here to complain about baseball, people shouting, coffee shops, baseball hats turned backwards. You know, these people wear these things, and this is a wonderful place for me to be, because I can complain till I'm blue in the face.
Ian said exactly that. So Ritchie loves to complain. He loves to be difficult.
I do.
So that's why I laughed. A lot of people, of course, envy your talent and your fame and the lifestyle that you have and everything. And they may forget that all that doesn't necessarily goes hand in hand with happiness.
No,
are you a happy person?
Very contented, not happy. What is happiness? One person's happiness is having a good meal. Another person, they could have the same meal, they would not be happy. That is interesting, right there. I don't know if you've noticed, it's like being in a room and you could see the moon out of the window. But if I could see the moon through this window here, you couldn't. So I could say, look, I can see the moon. And you would say, well, not really. You're lying, because I can't see the moon. But you're in a different perspective to me. That in itself, I think, is life in its barest form. We're all totally confused, but some of us know how to handle it better than others and know how to come across pretending. We all pretend. We all pretend we're happy. I don't think anybody's happy. We don't have a clue what happiness is about. And some of us end up in asylums going, I'm going crazy. And I could relate to those people. Living in this world, I think is a big con job in the whole world. I don't think anybody's happy. Or I'm happily married. That doesn't exist anymore. I think it maybe did 30 years ago. Now I'm hitting nerves, right?
That's good.
I could go on, but I won't. I'd bore you and everybody listening.
Oh, no, I think it's really interesting. It brings me to another thing. Has the fact that you are regarded as a legend among guitar players ever caused you to be frustrated over the fact that you've got to keep up with any possible competition?
I've never regarded myself as a legend. Lucky, I think is the word. I practiced a lot. Legend, I would relate that to being around a long time.
What do you mean? Something from Jurassic Park?
Yes, it's like, you're a legend. No, I've just been around a long time, you know. I'm the worst type of person. I'll always put down what I do, all the time. Depress it. Yeah, there are times I sit back and I go, I like that, that's nice. But I'll always put down what I do, all the time. Depress it. Yeah, there are times I sit back and I go, I like that, that's nice. But I do have a very bad habit of pulling everything down to its basic structure. A legend is someone that's just been, you know, lucky for a long time. And I would never consider myself a legend. I wouldn't consider myself anything other than just being here like everybody else is. I'm stuck.
But you sound like Ritchie Blackmore and play basically like Ritchie always has done. While Ian Pace, for instance, I must say that he seems to be holding himself back lately.
Holding himself back?
Yeah, it's very straightforward drumming these days. I mean, this is a guy who used to play Burn and Lay Down, Stay Down.
That's right. He has a problem with the red light too. As soon as the red light goes on in the studio, he starts to play harder and he starts to speed up or slow down. And we tell him that. And Roger is usually nominated as the person, okay, Ian, let's just do a trial run. Meanwhile, we're taping it because we know he's going to play really well if he thinks that we're not recording. The games that go on in the studio are very interesting. Ian is a live drummer. He's brilliant on the stage. He's amazing. But in the studio, he's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I saw him play Burn in Stockholm and Gothenburg.
Yeah.
And it sounded just like
Burn. He's incredible.
You'll commence touring in Europe pretty soon.
Right.
And the last 3 tours with the Mark II lineup were somewhat similar in its set list.
Really?
You were going through almost the same classic songs, adding this new songs from the current album, whichever it was. But the classics were almost the same. Have you did any changes in this set this time around? Any surprises thrown in there for us connoisseurs?
Yes and no. I think we're playing 4 or 5 tunes from the latest LP, and we're doing some very old ones. But we could play everything that people wanted, but it would go on for about 4 hours. So we do tend to, and that's probably my fault. I like to keep things set. Although we might play Highway Star, we'll play it differently every night. But people want Highway Star.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of obvious songs that should be in the set. No,
it's interesting because you can go, well, they want to hear Child in Time, they want to hear Highway Star. Well, Strange Kind of Woman, they're like, oh, well, Space Trucking they want too.
All this stuff. Today I go home, I put on the Nat King Cole record.
Yeah.
Go back.
Speed, rolling, speed, go fine. Rolling? Good. Yeah, some of the classic stuff there. You could probably play for 5 hours there if you choose to play everything you.
That's right.
Do. But what are some of the new stuff that you are? Some of the new old stuff, rather.
The new old stuff? Okay, new old stuff. We'll probably do an acoustic version of Anyone's Daughter, you know?
Yes.
That was good. for a laugh. There are many things. We might do that Rat Bat Blue. Of the new stuff, talking about love. Anya. Twist and Tell will be there.
And two of my favorites, of course.
Which are? Those two.
Solitaire is one.
Okay, yeah, Solitaire. We'll throw that in.
Definitely like.
It's a great tune. He did a very good job on it. Yeah.
I really dig Solitaire.
Yeah.
It has almost a, actually it has almost a Pink Floydish overtone.
I think it had a Jethro Tull.
Well, maybe, you know, but almost like, you know,
Yeah.
take Pink Floyd, throw them against the wall and see what comes back.
Could be.
Yeah, nasty piece of work, because also when I read it.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one was that? It's the Peter Gunn theme, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we did that as a joke. You know.
yeah, but it's a good joke.
Yeah, okay.
I dig it. That's has all the elements I enjoy.
Yeah,
There's only one song I really don't like.
Okay.
One Man's Meat.
Which one's that?
Last one on the album.
How does it go?
One
Sing it to me.
man's meat. There's one funny lyric there. It's like, and then one man's aching butt or something. It's really, it's not a good one.
Is it like a Green Onions riff or something?
Are you sitting here telling me that you come off an album and you have no idea what you've recorded?
Nope. I have not heard this LP in its entirety yet. I will.
So you haven't heard what Ian is actually singing?
I've heard most of it, but one man's meat. See, One Man's Meat. It could be anything. I call them other tunes at the time. It could be riff in E or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Listen to it.
Okay, I will, and I will think.
Exactly.
Anders doesn't like this song.
Yeah. So
I
the world
think
will
I've
change
heard
because
it.
of that.
I really think I've heard it.
Exactly.
I don't think I like it either, because it doesn't stick out. I mean, Ramshackle Man.
Oh, that's a great.
I don't know what the hell that is.
That's the bluesy bar shuffle.
Okay, we did that in one take, I think. What's Man? What the hell was that? If Roger was here, he'd go, "That's the one we did."
But you don't know.
No.
There you go. Ritchie, it's been great to talk to you for a while.
Yes.
And we'll look forward to see you in Stockholm.
Yep. Great.
It's only one show in Sweden this time.
We will do a better show in Stockholm.
We will be there for you.
We have to.
Could you do a couple of station IDs?
I never do that.
You never do that?
No.
That is true. I've never seen you do that.
No.
So,
I never do that.
yeah, I was hoping that you would introduce my show.
Okay.
It's also like you're about to watch Metall Magazinet with Anders Tegner. That was.
It's a little bit too show busy for me.
It is.
Mm.
We'll do without it then.
Right?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Guys, we're all done.